The PING G430 Fairway Wood. Not enough technology, in my opinion, has gone into fairway woods over the years. Focused so hard on driver, almost bypassing fairway woods, going into hybrids and long irons. Well, in today's video, we're going to be reviewing this club. We're going to see how we get on with it. PING telling us that there's a bit more technology gone into this head. So let's hit some shots. Let's give you some numbers and tell you how it performs. So the big story from PING when it comes to their fairways is carbon fly wrap. I mean, it even says it on top of the club. So what is it? Well, the idea of it is to try and reduce weight on the top of the club. They're going to try and push that weight, that CG, just a little bit further down in the sole of the club, trying to allow us to be able to launch this ball up in the air, maybe give us a little bit more forgiveness. So just small little details, I suppose, that PING are looking at just to try and move weight around. We've talked about that so often with drivers, but like I said in the beginning of this video, not enough when it comes to fairway woods. And it's actually a breath of fresh air in my mind to see that they've actually made a bit of an effort to start talking a bit more about the tech of these fairway woods. So visually, if you compare it, let's say, to the old 425, G425, very, very similar looking down at these two clubs. And if you look at both of these clubs together, you've got one alignment dot on top of the G430 compared to three that you've got on the G425. Now, what that does for me personally, not a great deal, just changing the look slightly. If we look at the faces on them though, actually very, very similar, both using similar lines, allowing us those little black spots in the middle there to maybe line those balls up just that little bit easier to the center point of the club. But a little bit more detailing out of the G430 compared to the old 425. Not a lot going on the top of that, but a slightly cleaner, shinier look on top of that 430. This one maybe looking a little bit duller, maybe a little bit more matte finish. We've got a little bit more gloss, a little bit more glow off the top of that G430. And obviously, and it is obvious when you look down at this club, is that just that carbon kind of addition. They've got that sort of visual down on top of that club. And I have to say, it does look pretty nice. I mean, the old one looked good, but this one does just, I don't know, it just seems a little bit more framed to me. Spin consistency. They used it in G425 and they're using it again when it comes into the G430. What does it actually mean? The idea of this one now, looking at the face of the club, if you catch a fairway wood just a little bit low in the face, you're going to get lots and lots of spin. The idea is that it's going to launch a bit low and then rev up on you, which actually loses you a bit of ball speed, loses you some distance. Well, in this model, they're trying to combat that a little bit as best they possibly can, by giving you a little less spin out the bottom of the club, by giving you a little bit, maybe a bit more ball speed out the bottom of the club with those off-centered strikes, which is only going to help when it comes to clipping that ball off that fairway. So we talked about carbon fly wrap on the top of the club, but you've also got the face wrap around this club. Again, very similar to what you had when you had the G425. Getting a wrap from the sole into the face and from the actual crown of the club into the face, and the same when it comes to the toe and the heel. But in this range, we're getting variable face thickness more into the toe side of the club. And what PING are telling us is that that's going to give us more ball speed when we get those centered strikes. Now, for me personally, I'm not going to be able to probably see that when it comes to actually hitting shots or even feel that. So I'm probably in this situation going to have to take PING's word for it. But let's now start to look at the numbers of what this club is giving us. So PING have kindly sent me the 5 wood in this club. It's the one that I requested because it's a club that I use a lot in my golf bag. So let's look at the way in which this club is performing. Now remember, the numbers I'm going to give you for this have been adjusted, as in there is some settings available in this club head, in the shaft, to be able to maneuver it from a fitting point of view. So I've kind of fitted myself in this test. Now, in a standard position, we've got 137.9 ball speed off the club face on an average, launching it at 16.8, spinning it around 3,500 revs, peaking out 40 yards high with an average carry of 215. Now that's pretty good. For a 5 wood at 18 degrees aloft, that's pretty good for me. If we then add extra loft, so I'm going to put this club 1.5 degrees more loft, so it's almost closer to maybe a 7 wood playing. We've got 139.8 average ball speed, so actually I've got more ball speed. It's launching at 17.4, but look at the spin. I'm now getting, well, basically I'm getting 1,000 revs more spin out of the 7 wood lofted up to compared to what I was getting with the 5 wood, which is to be expected, getting a little bit more deflection on the ball. Peaking out 44 yards high and an average carry of 207. So I have lost a little bit of yardage because of that spin. Now, on the next batch of numbers, I've de-lofted this club. So I brought it down by 1.5 degrees. So I've brought it down to now like a 4 wood, 16.5 degrees in loft. I'm getting 142 mile an hour off the face. So I've really increased that ball speed off the face. It's launching at 15.5, so slightly lower in its launch. And then spin, interestingly, spin the same at 3,500 revs. Peaking out the same at 40 yards high, but I'm now carrying it 223 yards. So just that little bit of extra ball speed by de-lofting that club is just pushing that ball out there just that little bit more for me, which again enables me to be able to adjust that club to suit my game at that particular time. Now, before I summarize on this video, there's just one little thing that I wanted to share with you, and that is the acoustics. Really important to someone like me from an acoustic point of view. I always thought the old 425 was just way too loud in the driver and in the fairway. So I'm just going to hit you a couple of shots now. One with this one is the 430, and then we're going to hit the 425 just to give you an insight into what they sound like. Now I hope you can hear at home the difference between the 430 to the 425. Definitely a bit of a change when it comes to the acoustics of these two fairway woods, and I have to say I much prefer the kind of duller sound off the 430. To me, I think Ping have nailed it with this club on so many levels, from the looks, looking down at this club, looking from the bottom of this club. I think this club is going to sell very well when you put it in pro shops, but also I think it's such an easy club to be able to fit to so many different players. But we'd like to hear what you think. Is there enough tech gone into this club? Are companies now focusing hard on the tech when it comes to the fairway woods? A massively important club in the golf bag, and I think they really should focus hard on these clubs now moving forward. Like to hear down in the comments what you think about the 430. Is it something that you're going to go out and test yourselves? Don't forget, if you are new to this channel and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all again on the next video.